First video of the day was going to be about the Supreme Court, but everything is kind of falling into place right now, so we don't quite know what the hell is going on, so hopefully a little bit more time is going to clear some stuff up for everyone. But we got to talk right now about the CHAZ. Okay, you guys remember the CHAZ from Seattle there? Well, it finally got a sequel. Jesus Christ, it's just like Hollywood churning out these fucking less than great sequels in a matter of months, and this one's in Portland. That's why I've got Mayor Ted Wheeler's a very, strong and authoritative opinion on the situation. This is from December 8th, and we will not stand for an autonomous zone being set up in Portland because, as Ted Wheeler, I am authorizing the Portland police to use all lawful means to end the illegal occupation in North Mississippi Avenue and to hold those violating our community's laws accountable. There will be no autonomous zone in Portland. Remember, this is December 8th. We all agree many of our nation's systems and structures are fundamentally racist and require significant reform. Ugh. There's a housing crisis, a healthcare crisis, an education crisis, an employment crisis. We get it. You do a shitty job and you don't have any answers, but you're just going to go ahead and blame it on somebody else. A mental health crisis, especially affecting the people who are in power in Portland, and an addiction crisis, an addiction to power, which you have. All of these cries are magnified in urban areas, including Portland and blacks most affected. It is also true that illegal trespassing and ignoring lawful orders from police, blocking sidewalks and streets, and intimidating neighbors inflame these cries to make them more difficult to solve. That is what's happening on North Mississippi Avenue right now. So strong and brave, Ted. You're such a good man. There was a lengthy, thorough judicial proceeding resulting in a lawful judge's order to evict people illegally occupying a home. That would be the Red Home, which this autonomous zone is named after. Multnomah County chose the time, place, and manner of eviction, and Portland police provided support. It is an encampment and occupation to end. There are many ways to protest and work towards needed reform. Illegally occupying private property, openly carrying weapons, threatening and intimidating people are not among them. And he said that with his iron fist aloft on December 8th. And guess what? It is still up on December 11th. Because, he's just a spineless faggot and he's not going to do anything about it. So we'll give you a little bit of background on the Red Hill Autonomous Zone. It's the Red House Autonomous Zone because Portland Police Chief tells protesters, let's get this right, to put down their weapons and come together in a sign of unity, right? Because that's what everybody wants. This is easily going to be fixed because unity, as armed activists set up autonomous zone protected by booby traps and protests evictions of black family as violent crime spikes in the neighborhood. Oh my God, they're protesting for better treatment for blacks because apparently that's a thing in Democrat-controlled cities where they treat them oh so poorly by, overrunning their businesses, extorting them, and now evicting them in order to set up a zone so they can protest to properly have, better treatment for blacks. You cannot make this shit up. It is so fucking absurd. The Kinney family have owned the Red House since the 1950s, but took out a new mortgage to pay defense lawyers for their son William III in 2002. Oh my God. So these people had to pay for defenses for a lawyer for their son, and they have a bunch of mentally unhinged, if we're going to play the race game, they're overwhelmingly white soy boys. Let's be completely honest here. Standing up for, those most affected. The house went into foreclosure and was sold to a developer in 2018, and the family says they were evicted at gunpoint 3 months ago. That sounds a little bit absurd, and we're kind of missing probably some of this information. The outrage came to a head Tuesday when the property owner complained people were trespassing and officers showed up and made several arrests. They did such a great job because it's still up. At the time that this article was written and updated, it was December 10th, and that was yesterday, and guess what? It's still there. Police said Wednesday occupiers have been stockpiling weapons and making threats to community members, the media and police in the zone say. Remember when the CHAZ was set up? And yeah, it was supposed to be a rebellion against, police brutality and, oh, Trump's America. And what was the first thing they do? Brandished weapons, shot people, committed rapes and other sexual assaults, and also enacted a big, beautiful wall around their place. Yeah, it really sounds like they're adhering to their own ideology. Yeah. This is why these people should never have power, by the way, but if they're just going to legally take it, who am I to say anything bad about them? Portland Police Chief Chuck Lavelle issued a plea to the demonstrators Wednesday. We can't do anything to stop you, so could you please just go home? Oh no, to put down your weapons, because we don't have any to fight you back. And warned officers will use force if necessary. Well, Ted said everything legal is on the table. The same day, people were seen setting up more barricades, including spike strips made of boards and nails, and armed guards were stationed in the area. So instead of this autonomous zone being retracted and being cleaned out by the police department, no, yesterday it was actually expanded. This video has been building for a while, but because there's been so much fucking absurdity going around with the Texas lawsuit, which we'll be covering next, of course. This one has been percolating, and as we'll see at the end here, everybody's favorite district attorney from Multnomah County, Mike Schmidt, he finally had a statement on the issue, but we got to give you the background on the Red House Autonomous Zone. Armed protesters have set up a new autonomous zone in Portland to protest the eviction of a black family. So they protest the eviction and then took over their house. Yep, that's some hot logic right there. Demonstrators have barricaded themselves into the property dubbed the Red House on the Mississippi. You're in Portland, Oregon. You couldn't be farther away from the Mississippi River, which you're trying to allude to with that. Holy fuck. And have set up booby traps, laid down homemade spike strips to puncture the tires of vehicles, and are stockpiling weapons as they prepare to defend their home. You know that all of these soy boys would just end up dislocating shoulders or fucking hitting one of their fellow comrades if they were actually to fire any of these weapons anyways. The only people who were actually trained, and I use that term very loosely, was the John Brown Gun Club. And if you know anything about John Brown, he was a little bit of a fucking nut during the Jesus, I was about to say the first Civil War. Slip of the tongue. During the American Civil War. But yeah, those guys there were about as effective as I think they were called the By Any Means Necessary. That was the black militia that was running through Louisville, I do believe, during a couple months ago. They ended up shooting each other, and left-wing militias never end well because they just end up fucking shooting themselves. But yeah, that's going to be the military wing of the fucking the RHAZ here. As you can see, much like the CHAZ and how Jenny Durkin, the mayor of Seattle, proclaimed it was just going to be the summer of love, well, this is just going to be the fall and early winter of love, because as you can see, there's fire in the streets, everybody's gathered around. Oh, at least some of them are wearing masks, so that's a good thing. Oh, and as you can see here, it definitely doesn't look like an overgrown trash heap with such important statements spray painted on the ground, I'd imagine, or they're all probably too stupid to use sidewalk chalk. Probably too busy tasting it and figuring out which one has the most nutritional value to it. Black lives are magic. We shall overcome, and if we don't, you better run. Why? There's not a lot of nutritional value in your fucking soy-laden diet. Your enemies are going to be better equipped. Ooh, such tough talk like fuck the PPB. Then of course, because you can never be woke enough, black trans lives matter. What about everybody else on that street? Is there stolen land, stolen people? I don't know. I think they all probably lawfully bought their homes and probably make mortgage payments on them. But far be it from me. I'm not down there, and I don't know. Maybe they're tacitly supporting this lunacy. Let's see what kind of mayhem has been caused during this so far. As of yesterday, this is, by the way. There have been more than 80 911 calls about the home since the start of September, around the time that the Kinney family said they were forced out of their home by gunpoint, according to police. Police said officers have received multiple calls from incidents at the home, including fights, gunshots, burglary, vandalism, and noise complaints between September 1st and November 30th. Neighbors in the area, which has become increasingly gentrified. Oh no, the audacity of people coming in and not wanting to have their city live in the squalor. Terrible. Have also complained about the disruption since the occupation, including not being able to get into their homes and the sidewalks have been blocked, reported Fox News. New barricades have already been erected Wednesday morning along Mississippi Avenue, according to Oregon Live. Layers of chain link fence and wood blocks were seen along the north entry to the Red House. At least one armed occupier was stood on guard and multiple tents were set up near the home. Occupiers were seen reinforcing the barricades with corrugated iron tires and chipboard and had stockpiled shields and defensive gear in preparation for police returning. What the fuck are they thinking they're going to do with fucking pressboard? Seriously, you think that's going to prevent a fucking rubber bullet even from tearing through that and knocking your fucking flimsy ass over? But no, these are the same type of people that think that all the food comes from the grocery store and they'll never run out of food because the grocery stores will still be open. Oh my god. Anybody out there who watches my videos and you guys have children, please homeschool them, or at least keep a very, very critical eye on the stuff that they're learning. And yeah, so they don't end up like these morons, okay? You owe it to yourself. Let's hear the words from the McKinney family. The Kinney family and local activists held a press conference in front of the house Wednesday afternoon to tell their story. Julie Metcalf Kinney, 62 years old, said the predatory loan caused the family to fall into financial difficulty. No, you just probably made bad decisions. If you couldn't afford the house, why the fuck did you buy it? But I'm sure she has a very rational answer for this. It was truly unfair for that to happen to my family. Oh, she's just going to play the victim card. That's fine. Kinney said the eviction on September 9th. Why this is taking place, the people organically saw the devastation that was taking place that day. The devastation of you not paying your bills? Yeah, exactly. Help us occupy this land, said Regina Rage. Obviously a level-headed human being. An activist and community organizer. Ooh, like Barack Obama. Help us do this so we can protect other families that they're going to do this to. They will target other black and brown families because they are because of the anti-blackness that exists within this ... system. Trust me, you go into the middle of the country, you go into those Appalachian states, and you find some fucking methed out white people, and they're going to be getting the fuck out of their trailers as fast as humanly possible if the fucking police come and say, hey, you're not paying your bills, and they're going to tell you to get the fuck out. Guess what? That happens to everybody who doesn't pay their bills. This isn't just a black and brown people most affected, okay? You fucking look outside your own purview. Pay your bills, take responsibility, and fucking figure the shit out, okay? I understand times are tough right now because of COVID, but yeah, don't overextend your means. Stop blaming your fucking problems on everybody else. Oh, and the reason why they had to be, like we said, or we seen earlier in the video, the fact that they had to remortgage their house in 2002 was because, yeah, their son committed a crime and needed some defense costs. Well, the Daily Mail didn't tell you what that was that he did that needed the defense costs, so I went and decided to figure it out why they had to do this, because he was just such a great guy, and you know what? He just fell on some hard times, and he pleaded guilty in 2002 to a felony hit-and-run third-degree assault and a juvenile equivalent of criminally negligent homicide, causing the death of an 83-year-old man, Frederick Goetz, and seriously injuring his wife, Anne. So he killed a man, ran him over, and fled the scene of the crime. Not a good human being. Okay? And the fact that they're playing the fucking victim because this guy couldn't get his fucking shit together, I have no sympathy for that. None whatsoever. So as we can see, it's been building up here a little bit. Portland protesters warned people not to film the Red House Autonomous Zone because, you know what, you don't want to actually see what's going on there because it's probably nothing like what happened in CHAZ with all the rapes and assaults and murders and shootings. But yeah, it's not like they have the exact same setup and the exact same people that are there. Fucking far be it for me to make those 2 points connect. Portland protesters drew a line in the sand, warning onlookers to not press play and shoot footage in the autonomous zone set up to reclaim a house where a black family was evicted because their son was a murderer as they returned for a third day Thursday. But Ted Wheeler said the police were going to clear it out. Why has it been up for 3? I don't get it. None of this is making sense. Portland's a weird place. Activists behind the armed occupation of the Red House on Mississippi urged camera-wielding looky-loos. Ugh, fucking Post, seriously. Not to enter the sealed-off streets surrounding Kinney home in a heated warning on Twitter. So you know it's serious, guys. We're using Twitter to get our message out. The space of the Red House is an active eviction blockade. Really? No, it's just Antifa being a bunch of fucking LARPers as usual. If you enter the space not to defend the Kinney family, but to live stream or film the risks that others are taking for your personal gain, then you are a guest and you aren't respectful. You will be an unwelcome one. The PNW Youth Liberation Front. Yeah, sounds like communists. A group of social justice activists. Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, we're not shutting it down. You're not allowed to know what's going on here because black people most affected. Remember that, guys. But you know what? Like I said here, and this is how we're going to wrap up, is because we got a statement from Mike Schmidt, the man with iron balls in Multnomah County. He is making sure that something's going to happen because you know what, guys? Ted Wheeler, who is not only the mayor of Portland, he is also the police commissioner, so you know he means business. Yeah, sure. Anyways, the situation, this is from the desk of Mike Schmidt, by the way. The situation on North Mississippi shows the pressing need for our community to come together to address our housing crisis. Now, how about stop running people over and you wouldn't find yourself fucking evicted? Economic inequalities, racial and social injustices. How about the justice for the Gates family? And to be mindful of the collateral consequences that the criminal legal system can have on destabilizing families and entire communities. He ran over an elderly couple. Many in our community would have never known about the plight of the Kinney family and the Red House on Mississippi, but the neighbors and community members who have refused to stand by silently. Now we understand and feel more keenly that the foreclosures and evictions, even when afforded due process, can have cascading effects. You're supposed to be enforcing the law, you fucking soy-laden fruit cup. The shame is what it took this type of intervention to bring so many together to want to remedy this situation. Simultaneously, there are significant public and life safety concerns with the conditions on North Mississippi. I have heard from neighbors scared to leave their homes, and I've heard about journalists being assaulted. Okay, yeah, so you're going to go ahead and allow these fucking criminal harborers to set up an autonomous zone and go ahead and terrorize the neighborhood in order to what? Oh, just let the exact same rampage that rage for 130 some odd days in downtown Portland, and then it fucking magically got cleaned up because Ted Wheeler, the night after fucking Biden apparently won the election, he finally called in the Oregon National Guard. It's weird how that shit happens, but anyways, back to this fucking limp-wristed statement. Civil disobedience and First Amendment rights are at the core of a well-functioning democracy. Just not that elector's clause or anything in regards to the Constitution. We don't need to worry about that. It's just the first one. And these are peaceful protests, by the way. I'm sure. Threatening and assaultive behavior is not. No. God, I wonder how long he had to go to law school to figure that one out. The Humboldt neighborhood is a historic and educational center of our community. The heavily fortified blockades on North Mississippi must come down so those living and doing business in the Humboldt neighborhood can do so again safely under current conditions that cannot occur. What a fucking piece of shit. I remain optimistic that the ongoing negotiations, why are you negotiating with these people? They are illegally setting up an encampment and terrorizing people in the neighborhood, but yeah, you're negotiating with them. Will produce mutually beneficial outcomes. How? What do they have that you want? I don't get it. There is nothing that they have unless you're looking for shitty pallets or piss-strewn carpets, or maybe you want a crack tent. I don't understand what the fuck you want. What a worthless statement. Quite possibly the most worthless city right now is Portland, Oregon, run by total idiots. And it would be worse if Sarah, whatever her fucking name was, Irony, the Mao simp, she'd be down there probably just making sure everybody else moved out of their fucking, any white people probably moved out of the fucking neighborhood and set it up so everybody could have their fucking little commune set up. I know there's a couple of you who are subscribed to the channel that are Oregon based, and I wish you luck, and I wish you a much better situation than what you find in Portland. I understand that all of this insanity is just kind of relegated to Portland itself, but this is fucking insane. I don't see it being taken down by any of these fruitcakes in the next fucking few days. So I don't know, until the fucking snow and sleet sets in, I don't think these kids are going anywhere, and it'll only get worse from there. And I'm just waiting for the fucking shootings to start, if they haven't already. But that's all. Just giving you guys a quick little update on the origins, what's happening in the Red House Autonomous Zone, and what their demands are. They want their house for free because, you know, guys, predatory loans. Fucking morons. Thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.